Hey, welcome to the Birth Boss Podcast. I'm your host, Jody Congdon, and today we're going to talk about setting goals, making plans, and taking that big goal and then reverse engineering it and figuring out what you're going to need, what skills you're going to have to learn, who's going to help you along the way to achieve all of this magic. So, think about where you are right now in your business and what your big goal is. So, not what you're going to be doing next year or the year after, what your 5 or 10-year plan is. And that looks significantly different than what you're doing now. I started as a birth and postpartum doula, and that was probably 16 years ago. And I never in a million years imagined that my business would look like what it is now. So my 5 or 10-year plan probably would not have looked like this, but I think also I probably would not have been making a big enough plan, looking far enough into the future. I think sometimes we have like a little bit of tunnel vision. Like we think about what we're doing now and we just try to make that bigger, grow that, scale that one particular thing. But there's so much that you can add and evolve in your business to make it bigger, to scale it, to provide you obviously, with a larger profit, but also much more free time. And it's kind of like this snowball effect. You figure out a way to continue to run your business, but be able to back up a little bit, have a little free time. And that free time you can use to create something new in your business, cultivate something new in your business. So it's not like we're taking that free time and doing something completely different. We're sort of parlaying that into something business related, hopefully. So you're kind of sort of reinvesting your time, which I love. So I started off, like I was saying, as a postpartum doula, and eventually added some classes and became a postpartum doula trainer. And then I sort of realized, and I definitely did not set out to sort of, have this be a direction my business was going to go in. But I realized that one of the things that I saw lacking tremendously in the doula world was nobody really knew how to run a business successfully. They were, taking on clients, depositing their paycheck, rinse and repeat. And there was like little to no growth, no scaling opportunities, at least that I was seeing in my doula community. And I knew that I wanted to do more things, care for more people, make more money. I wanted to build something bigger. I wanted to manage something bigger. And I love things that are totally dependent on what you put into them. I always loved the commission-based jobs where you got this like little salary and then everything else was based on performance. And it's sort of the same thing now. I have to be really smart and intentional about building my business because I want to know that what I'm doing and, the things that I'm adding and creating are going to give me a really good return on either that financial or time investment. So thinking about, for me right now, I run a birth and postpartum doula agency. I have a few digital courses. Some are, part digital, part live. Some are just self-paced. And I have a membership community. So we have the Birth Boss series. It's Birth Boss Academy, Birth Boss Agency, and the membership community is Birth Boss Society. So thinking about all of those aspects of my business, if I was just a postpartum doula and all of this was my 10-year plan, what skills do I need to do all these things? So they're obviously skills that I didn't have, 16 or 17 years ago. And those are things I would have planned for, knowing that I would need them for the big picture. So, just using the agency as an example, we have many more clients, right? We're trying to grow our clientele and we either have employees or contractors. So for those two things, I would need a lot more, education or knowledge around sales and marketing, possibly public speaking, right? Even though I'm not speaking in front of 100,000 people, I'm speaking to prospective clients, I'm speaking to other professionals, in our community. I probably should learn a little more about management, right? Because not only am I going to be managing other people who are going to be doing doula work, I'm also managing many more clients. I'm managing people's schedules. And I also, which I think this is the hardest part, I have to manage myself. When you have a 9 to 5 or you work for a company, someone else kind of tells you what to do all day and, where you're going to be and when this meeting is and when things are due. And for some people, that's wonderful because they really need that framework to be able to move through the day and check the boxes. But when you work for yourself and you have to manage your own schedule, your own time, your own energy, your own finances, it is not easy. So, having some skills in management, in all of the above, and also learning about the financials, right? Where the CEO, where the COO, where the CFO, where the MVP, where the VIP, we are all the letters in our own business, right? So thinking about all of those skills or all of those, trainings or classes or courses that I would want to take to be successful as I'm building these blocks to my 10-year plan, that's really important because you are not the same business owner. Yeah, I'm getting all hyped up here. I'm like hitting my pen against my hand. You can probably hear that in the recording. I get so fired up about this. I get so excited about this. You're not the same business owner when you're a solo doula that you are when you are managing a large agency. You are, creating digital courses, selling digital courses. You could be, teaching these classes or trainings or consulting. You have many more things going on that you need more skills for, but also those skills kind of become intertwined. So you're now, as far as management, you're managing yourself and your schedule and your finances. You're managing clients. You're managing doulas. So you have to be well versed in the foundation of managing, but also in multiple different, aspects. So, thinking about and dreaming about what you want your business to be and what your life as the CEO of that business will look like, you definitely want to make a list of things that you should know or will need to know to make all of those dreams come true. You don't want to fly by the seat of your pants with that. You don't want to fake it till you make it. There's a time and a place for that, but it's not when you are running a multi-6-figure or 7-figure business. You definitely want to have the knowledge behind, what's coming out of your mouth. And it's really as simple as I like to do what I call a brain dump, before I make any of these plans on paper. It's just keeping a notebook with you for, a couple of days or a week and literally writing down every single idea that, comes into your head. And you don't cross anything off. It's literally a brain dump. They can be silly things. They can be things that totally will never happen. A lot of them will be things that you want to see happen. And then after that week, you read it over a few times. Then you start to cross a few things off. You pare it down a bit, sit on it for a few more days. And that's what will be, sort of the framework of these bigger goals, these bigger plans. And not only do you want to have some detail in there because that really helps you figure out the skills that you're going to need, or, if those are things that are totally out of your wheelhouse, who's going to help you along the way? Who might you need to hire? And that sometimes takes money. So where is that money going to come from? There's a lot of layers to, kind of doing the reverse engineer piece, figuring out what you're going to need along the way to build your dream business. So being really clear on some of the details, and of course this can change, but being really clear on the details will really help you figure out what you will need along the way. And as you kind of work backwards, you will end up today. You will end up where you are right now, and it will help you take those first steps What do you need to do first? What's a priority? What's most important? And I think the sequential piece is also sometimes difficult, because I know for the people that I work with, and that work with me for consulting and building their agency, sometimes, it's not as clear as, what do we do first? What do we do second? Sometimes we have to grow things simultaneously. So, like the sales and marketing piece and growing your team, sometimes we're doing that at the same time, because things just happen, faster than we anticipate. And being in an industry where, word of mouth and referrals are really the number one way we grow our business. Also, personal referrals from other, professionals and practitioners in our community. It's not always just, previous clients. We know that it's such a personal service. People ask other people what their experiences are, who they used. So it's a lot of word of mouth, and your business grows fast because, when you're working for clients, they might tell 2 or 3 people, but then when you have a contractor, you're both working for clients, that's, 4 or 6 people. And it just grows exponentially like that. So you definitely, you want to be ready with like the marketing and sales piece. And as the clients start to roll in, you obviously want to have your team ready, because the whole point of this, transitioning into an agency model is to not have to say no to prospective clients anymore. So you want to be ready on both fronts, right? You want to be able to build a team and have them stay busy, and you want to be able to have, the clients rolling in and have doulas to take care of them. So making your grand plans, your dream business, and you as the dream CEO, what does that look like? The bones of the business, and then what that looks like for you. And thinking about too, 5 or 10 years from now, how old are your kids? How old are they going to be in 5 or 10 years? Where are they going to be? Are they, newborn now, and then they're going to be in elementary? Are they in elementary and then high school? Or, my oldest is heading off to college. So that drastically changes, where I'm needed and where I need to be on a daily basis. So I have, 3 kids that, need me right now, not only, physically, and logistically, but also mentally and emotionally. And when my oldest goes to college, like, she'll still need me for the mental and emotional stuff. And, I still want to have a time commitment to be able to, obviously visit and stay in touch. But the day-to-day piece, there's going to be one less person in my house. So that definitely changes, the time commitment for me, how much I'm going to be able to be in my business versus, what it looks like right now. 5 or 10 years from now, my kids are going to be in high school. So that probably means I will not be getting them off the bus every day or picking them up. They will have sports and activities right after school and just be a little more, mobile themselves. So things change, and it really does depend on, your age, the age of yourself, the age of your children, where you are now. So you want to also take all of those things into consideration. And I promise you that if you're listening to this and you're like, oh my God, that seems like such a large task to sit down and do all this, as you start to do it, because I know you think about this stuff like when, you're lying in bed or in the car by yourself or in the shower, when you have time to yourself, or when you're working in your business and you're overly exhausted and you are on the path to burnout, you think of what life would be like if, your business looked a bit different or vastly different, and what that means for you as far as, how you can have more free time without sacrificing, the income coming in. So I think really taking this seriously and starting with a brain dump and going all the way into creating those plans, peeling back the layers, taking them apart, and figuring out how you're going to build it up over the 5 or 10 years that your plans are or your goals are. Start now. Someday is no day. We say we're going to do things, we're going to get them done next week or whatever. Get out your calendar, get out your phone, start making due dates, start making, timelines when you want to have certain things done by. It's really important for just keeping moving forward and getting to your goal in the time frame that you want to. this is hard work. If you're going to continue to do doula work, all hands on, in person, and not grow your business and add things that, bring in some passive or passive-ish income, you can't be doing this until you're 90. I mean, it's physically taxing, it's mentally and emotionally taxing. You have to think about what you're going to do when you no longer can or want to do the in-person work. And we also have to think about retirement, saving for retirement. What does that look like? If you work for, a large company, they help you fill out the paperwork and maybe they match and, it's really easy. But when you work for yourself, you have to do all of that yourself. So in addition to the sales and the marketing and the management and maybe even the public speaking, learn about finances, learn about, saving for retirement or saving for college or investing. What's the best thing to invest in if you only have a little to invest that you can, add on? Because the whole point of this is to grow your business. And as time goes on, you want more profit coming in, right? More money that you have to do other things with. Obviously, we're reinvesting, a good chunk of it in the business. But the profit piece is the part that goes to you for your life, your family, other things that you want to do, investing, saving, getting out of debt, whatever it looks like. So if you have more questions, I always love to continue these type of conversations. They definitely don't end on the podcast. You can reach out to me. I am Hip to Heart on Instagram. And you can also take a look into Birth Boss Society. I have built this membership community solely for the purpose of all of you building your business, taking it, from either almost or 6 figures to multi 6 and 7 figures. And that brings financial freedom and that brings time freedom. And that is what we all desire. We don't want to be always feeling like we're overworked and almost, if not to the point of burnout. We want to be doing this for a long time, serving our community, caring for ourselves, caring for our family, and also really able to think about the future. I always say that, as far as the financial piece goes, you make money, you lose money, hopefully you can make it back. When you lose time, you never get that back. You do not have the opportunity to get that time back. And it's so important that you think about that stuff now, because not only do you not get the time back, sorry if you guys are like already, your eyes are welling up and you're crying, you'll never be able to create more time, right? So you can't get the time back. You can't create more time. We can create tons of ways to make more money, but not ways to make more time. The only thing we can do is figure out ways to, redo parts of our business that create a different time division during the day. So again, you can find me on Instagram at Hip to Heart. Take a look at Birth Boss Society and see what is in there for you. I will link both below. And always, if you have questions, please feel free to reach out. If you want to continue this conversation or just love something I said and want more information about it, I'm always happy to continue that. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day, guys. Keep being bosses.